Let me start off with a story tonight. It's a story you're all familiar with, and in fact, at any point, if you know the words that are coming up next, I invite you to join in. It's a story about 3 pigs. Once upon a time, there were 3 pigs who wanted to live in peace and harmony with their environment. And because they wanted to keep their ecological footprint as small as possible, they decided to build houses out of materials that were indigenous to the area. And so it was that the first little pig built his house out of straw, and the second little pig built his house out of sticks, and the third little pig, who wanted to be not only ecologically correct, but also historically accurate, built his house out of adobe bricks, which he made out of dung and clay and creeper vines, and formed in a wooden mold and fired in a backyard kiln, after first checking with the EPA regulations and the air quality control standards. When the 3 houses were built, the 3 pigs stood back and looked in awe and satisfaction at what they'd accomplished, and they imagined themselves living there in peace and happiness forever. Their idol was soon shattered, however, for along came a wolf with expansionist ideas. When the wolf saw the pigs, he became really hungry in both a physical and an ideological sense. When the pigs saw the wolf, they became really scared in both a physical and an ideological sense. And they ran immediately to the house of the first little pig, the house made out of straw. The wolf followed them, pounded on the door, and called out, this is your part, little pigs, let me come in." To which the pigs replied, "The hair of my chinny chin chin." Well, the wolf was not to be denied what he thought of as his manifest destiny, and so he took a deep breath, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down, sending the 3 little pigs off to the house made out of sticks. And what happened to the land on which the original straw house stood? Well, it was bought up by a giant wolf conglomerate and turned into a banana plantation. Meanwhile, back at the stick house, the wolves arrived. The wolf arrived. It only seemed like there were a lot of them. He pounded on the door and called out, little pigs, let me come in." To which the pigs replied, "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." Well, the wolf was getting pretty annoyed at their inability to see things from a carnivore's point of view. And so he took a deep breath, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down, sending the 3 little pigs off to the house made out of bricks. And what happened, I know you're wondering, to the land on which the original stick house had stood? Well, it was bought up by another gigantic wolf conglomerate, and it was turned into a luxury resort timeshare condominium complex, complete with an 18-hole golf course, snorkeling, dolphin shows, and samba lessons. And in fact, there was a little fiberglass replica of the original stick house out in front of the complex. It was a curio shop. Meanwhile, at the house made out of bricks, the wolf arrived, pounded on the door, and called out, little pigs, let me come in. Excellent. This time, the pigs did not reply in their usual way. They decided to deal with it non-violently and non-verbally. They simply linked arms and sang songs of protest. Oink, 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 oink. Good job. You guys know that song? Nice. And they wrote letters of protest to the United Nations, hoping for some kind of sanctions. Yeah, right. Wait for that. Well, meanwhile, the wolf, well, he was not a completely unsympathetic character in this story. I mean, he did think that they were very cute, and he thought that they were, well, their whole culture was so childlike, so naive, so precious, and he did feel a little bit of guilt at simply obliterating them completely, but on the other hand, he felt that progress could not be stopped. And so he took a deep breath, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he clutched his chest and fell over dead of a massive heart attack, brought on by eating too many fatty foods. And then the little pigs, well, they came out and they did a little victory dance around the carcass of their cruel wolf oppressor. And then what did they do? Well, they joined with other pigs who had been thrown off their land. And together, this small but intrepid band of Porkinistas attacked the deluxe resort timeshare condominium complex with rocket launchers and flamethrowers. And soon, all of the cruel wolf oppressors lay dead. And then, well, they took the land and they established a model socialist democracy, complete with universal health care, free education, affordable housing. That's how come you know this is a fairy tale. And liberty and justice for all. Now, two things you should know about that story. It was adapted for telling with permission from a story written by James Finn Garner. And the second thing is, for those of you who are worried about such things, no actual animals were harmed in the telling of this story. In fact, the big bad wolf, he was simply a metaphorical construct.